Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of SoulFull Sessions. It's the first episode of 2023, and I am so incredibly excited and honored to have my dear friend, Kristin Bauer, with us today. And let me tell you a little bit about Kristin and her beautiful business, her passions. She's one of the most interesting and beautiful women that I know on the inside out. And so that's my little intro, but I'm going to give you more of an official intro about Kristin. So Kristin is an herbalist and alchemist who has spent over a decade researching how to nourish the skin through the application of organic plant-derived oils, balms, creams, and blends. I have some things I want to say about that momentarily too. She has a miraculous understanding of plants, and her unparalleled skill at blending organic materials brings the magic into the unique line of Nourishe products. And Nourishe is Kristin's organic skincare company. She also provides expert facials to teach and educate people how to apply the products and care for their skin at the same time. I want to just speak to that really quickly before I continue on with her bio, and that is that I get a facial from Kristin once a month, and she's always educating me, and I know she educates others, whether in person or online through her website or through social media, about how to really nourish the skin and how to protect the skin and how to make sure that your skin is functioning at its optimum while only using organic and natural plant-derived ingredients, which I love, because if you look at the ingredients of a lot of products that are supposed to be really good for your skin, they're filled with things that you don't even know what they are. And that's one of the aspects of Nourishe that I love. So with Nourishe, Kristin aspires to be a preeminent provider of natural anti-aging and holistic skin rejuvenation products that encourage you to celebrate who you are just as you are, which I absolutely freaking love. So it doesn't matter if you're 20, if you're 50, if you're 80, if you're 180, show up as you are, love who you are. And Nourishe is a really beautiful space to nourish, literally and figuratively, the skin. I just want to also give a shout out to Nourishe, the brand, and for Kristin's work and efforts, because Nourishe has been the editor's choice in the Global Green Beauty Awards in 2021, was also the best natural beauty product and best ethical fragrance winner of the Beauty Shortlist Awards in 2021. And in 2022, Nourishe won numerous awards, the Global Green Beauty Award gold winner for the best organic serum, a silver winner for the best organic moisturizer, a bronze winner for the best organic anti-aging product, and a highly commended best natural soap. And so when you think about skincare and its richness and robustness and the whole package, it's like you got it covered right there. So welcome, Kristin. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yay. All right. So I ask every one of my guests, what are you known for saying? And it's funny, I always, whenever people come back with their answers, there's, things that maybe their kids tell them that they say, or their coworkers or their partner or their friends or whatever, but it's always so interesting. And for you, Kristin, I know you had a number of different answers to this. The one that kind of stuck was, let me see the label. So I'm assuming that this is like food, this is anything you put on your skin, anything you use in your home, like anything, you want to know what's in it.
Yes. I asked my employees, because I was like, I don't know, what do I say? I was like, I don't say things all the time, do I? And it was pretty hilarious, because they were just rattling off all these hilarious things that I say all the time. And the one that I was really most proud of was, let me see the label. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that we're consistent with what is not just on our body, but in our field, right? All those things affect us. And I think there needs to be a lot more conversation around the chemicals that can be in our environment and can affect our health, can affect our emotions, even can affect our mind and things like that. So I was proud that that was one of the ones that they mentioned.
I love it. It's fantastic. I think it's a great reminder for all of us to pay attention to what we're putting on our skin and in our bodies. They also, I think, Kristin, you had mentioned that they had also made some comments about how you make a lot of plant-based jokes. And so I think that's so cute, considering your business and your focus in life is so plant-oriented. It's so much about the earth and the connection to the earth, and, you know, having that playful relationship with Mama Gaia, with the plants, with, you know, this natural world that we live in, I think is just awesome. It just shows how in alignment you are with your mission and who you are as a person.
Have you ever seen our apothecary? Have I ever taken you next door?
I don't know that I have.
I got to take you there. It's so cool to see all of we have over 300 plants in the apothecary, and they're beautiful. So
Wow.
when we're
Yeah.
making products, every product has like 30 to 40 plants in it. So it's a lot of interaction with these really beautiful plants, and you form like this relationship with them. And we're constantly talking about them because of our organic certification, and, you know, all of the, you know, that thing that I say, let me see the label. That's really important to me for my customers. So, you know, we put a lot of information on our labels. So we're constantly talking about all these plants all the time.
That, I love that. Well, and that is such a beautiful segue to sharing your sun, moon, and rising sign, because when, you know, I share this with all my guests, and Kristin and I have had an astrological conversation. So none of this is going to be a real big shock to her, but for those listening, for them to know that your sun and your moon sign are both in Taurus, and Taurus is dun, da, 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 an earth sign. So it's not a big shock that you would have this really deep bond and connection with the earth. Taurus is also ruled by Venus, and Venus is all about beauty and luxury and the finer things in life and feeling good. And so again, that ties in so beautifully with who you are on the outside and who you are on the inside. You know, the sun sign relates to your outward personality. The moon is your inner world, the relationship with yourself, with your mother, even, you know, or that feminine part of you. So really in tune. And then your rising sign is Leo. Leo is connected to the sun. It's ruled by the sun. And so when you think about plants, they really need the sun to survive and to thrive. And it also shows a part of you where you're in the spotlight a bit. You know, you are part of Nourishe. Nourishe is part of you. And so you being out there and you sharing your wisdom about plants with the world. And we're going to be talking about another passion project of yours, the Sacred Water Tribe, a little bit later. But again, that too is connected to that earth connection, and that, you know, being on a stage, quote unquote, if you will, sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge, sharing your gifts and your talents with the world on a big, bold way, which is Leo. Does that feel resonant with you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's funny because ever since I was a kid, I love things being very beautiful, very colorful. I got made fun of all the time when I was a kid for my crazy wardrobe and colors and styles. And I can remember being a little kid, and I would decorate. So I would save all the magazines. I was probably like 7 or 8, and I'd save all my mom's magazines. I would pull the advertisement pages out that were really pretty, and I would spend like a whole night, like I wouldn't sleep, and I would tape them all up on my wall like wallpaper and like change them once a month. And I used to get mad at my mom because if she would give me dinner on like a white plate, I was like, oh, I can't eat this. I need something more beautiful than this. And so if you like come to my house or you come to any of my offices, they're usually decorated pretty interestingly, because I really am very nourished by things that are very beautiful and have a lot of color and have a lot of, you know, energy to them and vitality. So yes, very true. Very, very earthy. I like to, you know, like I'm just really like connected down, really connected to the earth. I love taking care of the earth. I love everything that the earth provides for us. You know, if you think about the plants, the animals and the smells and the foods and the beautiful waterfalls and bodies of water. Mother Earth gives us everything magical and magnificent that we could ever imagine. And I feel so honored to have the experience of being connected to her and being nourished by her. And everything that I'm made up of in my body is the same as her. So I definitely resonate with what you're saying.
Wow. Yeah. And I can attest to being both at Kristin's home and her office space that it is very, you walk in and it's like, oh, this is so Kristin, because you've got the pinks and you've got the flowers and you have this, there are plants and there's just this green, this lushness, there's butterflies and there's all sorts of flowers. I mean, you can see the wall behind Kristin, if for those of you watching this on video format versus audio format, you know, she's got this pink around her. She's wearing pink. She's got flowers. There's green, there's chandeliers, there's beauty. It's all right there. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's hop in. Let's just like dive into the conversation here. And you know, soulful sessions are captivating conversations to nourish and nurture your soul. And so we can't really have this conversation without talking about an experience, and it can be recent or not so recent, that lit you up when you just knew, that it was your soul talking to you. Would you mind sharing an experience with us?
I think I've had a few really great ones in my life, and I think the one that's always the sweetest for me to share is how I transitioned from the plastic surgery industry, because the first 11 years of my career, I worked only for plastic surgeons. I did chemical peels, lasers, we did Botox, fillers, facelifts all day long. So that was the beginning of my career. And I was actually really sick as a kid. I had an injury when I was 2 that caused some side effects and reactions that were, you know, just basically a landslide of autoimmune issues my whole life. And by the time I was 29, I was not doing well as far as just daily functioning and being healthy and having energy and being able to survive the day without massive amounts of coffee and stimulants. So I took myself to Peru, actually to the jungle for the first time, and I sat with a healer for 10 days working with all these beautiful plants and teas to, you know, really connect me back to the earth and really like open up the capacity of healing. And I spent 10 days, no shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, toothpaste, mouthwash, nothing. Like I was in nature. I used leaves to wash myself in the waterfall, and water just to clean my teeth, and everything was totally natural. I lost like that kind of human connection. I was so deep in the jungle. And in that short 10-day period, I started healing for the first time. It was amazing. And I came back to the US and everything was very different for me. And I was told my whole life that I could never have kids. So, you know, by 29, like that was just who I was. You know, I didn't ever think like I was having children. And 4 months after I got back from the jungle, I got pregnant. And so I had this moment. It was a lot for me. It was so intense. I wasn't ready at all. And at this beautiful moment, I went to sleep one night and I was feeling pretty scared, and I slept like 8 hours, and I had this dream that took up the whole 8 hours, but it felt like 10 seconds. And it was this beautiful, sweet, feminine soul just saying, everything's gonna be okay. And so I got up the next morning and I was like, okay, I'm having a girl and everything's gonna be okay. And I felt so much better. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to be pregnant. I just always had it in my mind. It was never a possibility. So I like went to the store. This was before you could order things on Amazon. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I bought like 8 books on what do you do when you're pregnant. And I opened up the first book and I was skimming through like all the different chapters, and I saw this chapter on personal care products. And I was like, well, what does that have to do with being pregnant? You know? And that was the first chapter that I read. And that changed everything in my life, my career. Never once before that chapter did I ever think about what's on a label. I don't even know that I had ever even looked at a label before that. And so in this book, it spoke about the toxic side effects from our personal care products and how they affect not only our long-term health but the baby. They had all these different studies and all this research about these toxins and chemicals in our shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, toothpaste, mouthwash, even floss, perfume, our skincare products, our makeup, our hair care products, everything, and how they go into the baby and during in utero, how they affect the cellular function, the tissue development, the organ development. They take cord blood from the placenta after, and they show remnants of all these chemicals and heavy metals that are stuck in there. They had all this research to show that a lot of these chemicals will leach. If you're having a daughter, they leach into her eggs, and you're sharing these toxic effects with your grandchildren now. So that was the moment. My mind was blown. I went and read all my everything. So like my shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, toothpaste, mouthwash, perfume, all my products, because I was making skincare products back then. And I was, slathering stuff all over my stomach already. And I thought I was a pretty healthy person at this point because I had been, since I had come back from the jungle, I'd really changed my lifestyle. I was juicing, I was going to yoga, I wasn't going out to dinner anymore. I was like shopping at Whole Foods and I was buying all my stuff from Whole Foods. And so I just assumed I was healthy. And I counted 383 chemicals or synthetic in all those products. And I don't wear makeup, and I didn't back then. So that's without makeup. So I counted so many chemicals, and that was before 9 o'clock in the morning. So that changed everything. I had like 3 garbage bags of stuff from my kitchen and my bathroom, like all my cleaning supplies, all my air fresheners, all my personal care products. I threw everything out and I started making everything. And I went to work the following week and I started doing chemical peels and microdermabrasion on my clients. And at this point, I owned a med spa, so I had a doctor that worked there. We did Botox and fillers, and I just, in good conscience, I was like, I am poisoning people in the name of beauty. And that's where everything shifted. So I started looking for organic products that were going to be powerful because I really needed to replace what we were doing with Botox and fillers and facelifts and chemical peels with natural products. And I didn't see anything on the market at that point that was powerful. And so that's when I spent a year doing research and development. I actually went back to the jungle and I started a much deeper study with the healers that practice these old indigenous techniques, this herbalism that is very different than traditional herbalism is practiced today, learning from, and a lot of them are these beautiful old medicine women, learning from them how to use nature to guide you in this very powerful healing process, because we are nature. So before that, I didn't really appreciate how powerful a plant could be. I didn't think that plants had more power than synthetics and pharmaceuticals and things. And here I was introduced to this concept, this belief, and this awareness and knowing that nature has these answers for us. And so that was the moment that changed everything.
Well, and it's so interesting. I love how Essie, your daughter, is such a big part of that story, and how connected you are with her, obviously as her mother, but also as soul beings, where she gave you that launching off point. She also gave you that sense of like, it's going to be okay. Everything was all right. Like it's you're on the right path, and it opens you up to this whole new world, a whole new way of living and being and expressing yourself in the world. Like it's really magical and beautiful.
I tell her she was my first teacher, and she started teaching me from the inside.
Yeah, truly.
I love how I live now. I mean, before I lived just the way I thought I was supposed to. And now I live by choice, by vision, by purpose. And that she was the first one who opened that door for me.
Well, and it's really cool because it not only changed your personal life, but it also changed your professional life, which you've already somewhat alluded to with the type of business that you had. And then you shifted gears because you realized, like, I can't continue doing this when I now know about how there are long-term effects for using these products, and that there are other ways and options of redefining beauty, to kind of come back to one of the themes of our conversation today. So when we talk about skincare in traditional circles, most people think about skincare in terms of what you put on your skin and anti-aging at a certain point in life, which I feel like actually is getting younger and younger and younger and younger as far as an awareness of that. Is like, people want fast, they want efficient, they want big results, and they want them with the least amount of effort. And would you speak a little bit to how they're with, and I can speak for myself when it comes to Nourishe products, because I use them every day. And what I noticed with them is that Kristin, you have a video that is online to show people how to apply the products and give yourself a little bit of a face massage, and to really take time to connect in with yourself every day. So even if you're not a meditator, even if you're not a big yogi, or you're not a believer in energy or anything that's kind of woo-woo and out there, but you take care of your skin, you maybe put some sunscreen on or a moisturizer or something every day, the massage that you share, and there's affirmations in each of the boxes as well. And you actually have an affirmation. I don't know if it's a challenge, if you would want to call it a challenge, but there's like an invitation. Yes, an invitation. Yes, an invitation to speak kindly and lovingly to yourself. I'll have you speak about that a bit. But before that, can you talk a bit about that, using the products as a connection to self, and to really connect with your energy and your life force at the start of every single day?
Yes, well, a lot of what I want to teach people is the foundation is what you do at home to yourself, and it's really all free. And that's the foundation of skincare. And I want people to feel like they're their own esthetician. I mean, obviously, I still see clients. I travel around the world. I'm really busy seeing clients still. But from the beginning, even when I was, I didn't have like a big waiting list, and I was like new in skincare, and I was trying to build a clientele, I always had this feeling that I wanted to teach people how to be their own esthetician and how to be able to take care of their skin at home. And coming to see me was just like this beautiful, nourishing treat that, you're a goddess and you deserve this time with me. And so the basic things that I teach, number one, relate to the affirmations. So and I'm doing a 30-day invitation right now on social media. So every day I'm spending 60 seconds in the mirror, just with my hands on my heart, just staring into my own eyes in the mirror. And then I have a different affirmation that I say each day with that. And one of the studies that I did, actually back when I still worked in plastic surgery, was really interesting. I have to look back, I believe it was 50 people go to the mirror every morning for 10 days and write down the first 10 things that they thought about themselves. And everybody wrote negative things about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start your day with this internal dialogue of, I'm fat, I'm not beautiful, my eyes are saggy, I have brown spots, I look like I didn't sleep good enough, whatever, this conversation rules your thoughts over the entirety of the day. How you do that is not going to be any different than how you do the whole rest of the day. So we know that everything that we think is related, obviously, deeper to our belief systems. So we have these beliefs that become our thoughts. These subconscious thoughts become part of our overall experience of ourselves. And then we keep projecting that into our reality. So the foundation of beauty is really loving yourself. And yes, we do have on each of our products, we do have different affirmations, like so you can see on the box. So
Yeah.
and so we have tons of different affirmations for people to choose from. I'm sharing all these affirmations on social media now, where people can make up their own affirmation, and it can be really simple. It can be thank you, I love you. And so when you start your day, or it doesn't even have to be in the morning, like anytime you start to create concepts about yourself that are loving and appreciative and nurturing, these are the things that you're going to start unconsciously thinking about yourself. And when you think that you're beautiful and that you're kind and that you're a hard worker, like you don't give up on the things you believe in, and you're passionate, and these are the things that you're going to be. It's impossible that you would think these things about yourself and then behave differently. And so, one of the things that people say to me is, it's funny, a lot of people really share that it's hard for them to be nice to themselves. They're like, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm still kind of like mad at myself that I didn't drink enough water yesterday. I'm mad at myself that I didn't get enough sleep last night, or that I didn't get up and work out this morning, or, things like that. And I try to teach people, start wherever you can. And it's okay to acknowledge those things. Hey, wow, like I notice that I'm really hard on myself when I don't do all these things. And I just want to say, like, I'm sorry that I didn't do those things, and move on. And I want to invite now all these things to happen naturally. And I try to teach people from a foundational level, make these things rituals, and don't make them take a lot of extra time or energy. So when I teach that 2-minute face massage for people to do in the morning and the evening, you don't do it as an additional 2 minutes to your routine. You do it when you're putting your product on. You do it when you're washing your face. So even when you're putting your product on in the morning, that's a really great time to look in front of the mirror and say, I love you so much. And thank you so much for getting up today. And thank you for all of your love and your grace and your beauty. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so grateful for this relationship that we're forming. And I want you to have an amazing day. And you are beautiful. And that is free. It's simple. You can do it when you're stopped at the traffic light. Put Post-it notes in your car. Hey, you're beautiful. I love you. Thank you. Put it on your rearview mirror, and you can do it. Just put little notes on your phone that your alarm goes off at noon every day, and it says, you're so awesome. Thank you so much. So this is the foundation of beauty. And then it doesn't matter. You can have some lines, you can have some wrinkles, you can have some acne, you can have some brown spots. You don't have to be the exact weight you think you want to be, and you can still be all these things. And you've seen people, maybe they have some lines or wrinkles, maybe they're not super skinny, whatever, and they're just beautiful, they're radiant, they have this magical glow. And that's what we want to create. And so that no line or wrinkle, no acne, no extra weight that you have on your body can ever take away from that internal beauty. And that's what true beauty is. And I like to call that redefined beauty, because I know that in the cosmetic industry, we're typically taught that beauty is an external thing, and then it has to be a certain way that you look or dress or speak or whatever. But really, beauty comes from the inside, and then we are beautiful on the outside. There's no other way for us to be.
I totally agree with you. And I love the suggestion for people to just factor that into your day with the things you naturally normally do, your habitual skincare routine, and also leaving yourself little love notes around your home or your vehicle, and setting alarms on your phone. That's something I have my clients do. Particularly when they're going through a tough time and the only cheerleader they have in their life is themselves. And, we are our biggest cheerleader, but we're also our biggest critic. So if we can shift that dynamic a little bit to more of the, rah, you're awesome, that rather than the opposite of that, it's a win all the way around. So when with the affirmations, would you mind sharing with people where they can find you on social media if they want to follow along with that this month?
Yeah, so we have our Nourishe social media is all Nourishe, Nourishe. And then my personal page, people are welcome to follow me too, is dances.on.water. So yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. I share on all the other places, but I'm on Instagram mostly. That's where you'll find all my current information. And
Okay.
I would love to have people join me and send me their videos, or post their videos and tag me in it. I'd love to see, or do the side by side where you just stand in the mirror and look at yourself while I'm in the other mirror sharing my affirmation. So I'm really excited. I might do it longer. I committed to doing it every day for 30 days, sharing it. I obviously do it every day normally, but sharing it every day takes a little more time. And
Yeah.
I'm excited too because I just redid my bathroom really funky. It's not totally done yet, but it was gray in there before, and I can't work in a gray bathroom.
No.
So I just like added lots of color and patterns and flowers and plants hanging and really cool things. So I'm excited to be in the bathroom sharing my fun little morning trick, and I would love people to share theirs and tag me in it, and that would be just such an amazing experience to see people all over the world really just taking that. It's 1 minute. It's so super easy.
Well, I will accept the invitation and I will post something in the next week or so. And, maybe around the time that we're promoting this conversation so that people will hopefully be inspired to do the same. And it would be great if they tagged and shared, but even if you don't, even if you just do it yourself for yourself, that would be amazing. And just in your sharing it, like as you were kind of walking us through what you're saying while you're putting your product on your face, or even if you're just standing there saying it to yourself for 60 seconds, like even when you were sharing that, I could feel that for myself. Like, yeah, I resonate with that so deeply. And that was just you kind of going with the flow of this moment. Can you imagine if you were really intentional about what you said to yourself? That would just be, to me, just profoundly impactful on how you engage in your life that day, going and beyond, really.
Yeah, and people can use my audio. I'm really happy to share. And it was interesting because when I first started, I was like, how am I going to write like something more unique and different every day? And it's funny. So now I've been doing it for a few days, and every day I'm like, oh, wow, all these different parts of me that I can talk about and forgive and love and heal and appreciate and share and commit to being that day, because I believe that we walk in beauty, we talk in beauty, we breathe in beauty. Our frequency is what we are. It's not, I'm not a girl, and I'm not Kristin, and I'm not, all these things, a mom, I think things that I do in my life. I'm a accumulation of energy, and there's no hiding that. If there are feelings in there, and there's no bad emotions, but if there are emotions that don't really resonate with my purpose and my vision, those things are still there and they're present. Even a small bit are present in everything that I put out in the world. And we walk past people on the street and we leave an impression. One of my affirmations that I did the other day, I think I said something like, just leaving a trail of beauty behind me for anyone that just wants to walk through it. And it's I want to breathe in a way, I want to radiate in a way, I want to thank the person checking me out at the grocery store in a way that leaves an impression of beauty, and not the beauty that the cosmetic industry typically has us buy into. But for me, beauty is just that self-love, that grace, that kindness, that forgiveness, that invitation to really connect to the earth. Because again, when we look at Mother Earth, she didn't hold back. Think of the trees and the flowers and like those orchids that look like monkeys, and amazing things, and like all the animals, and like at the water ceremonies, I do this eye gazing where I have people sit and really like look into each other's eyes, and I've seen so many eyes like over the past years that we've been doing this. And even eyes are incredible, you know? So and there's just the tastes and the smells and everything, like Mother Earth, like she takes really good care of us. So
Yeah.
that invitation to be grateful for that and to appreciate everything that we have from her, but also to be that, like to give that essence of nurturing and love and amazingness back.
I love that. And you mentioned the water ceremony and your sacred water tribe, which is, and I'm going to kind of give my take on it because I've been to ceremonies in the past, and the way I experienced it is this beautiful gathering of people in this incredibly beautiful natural space that Kristin and those who come to help her volunteer, which is usually her fiance, her daughter, and a small group of really committed and devoted friends who show up every week or every month, once a month, and create these mandalas of flowers and shells and bless water, and they return the water to the waterways at this park in southern Florida. And it is just a blessing. There's music and there's singing and there's gathering and there's sharing. And like Kristin was saying, you know, eye gazing. And it's just a really sacred space of connection and respect and reverence. And, you know, it's this, to me, it feels like this giving back. It's like a great big thank you for the beauty and the wisdom that water carries. And so if you wouldn't mind sharing your intention and your take on this offering that you have once a month.
Yeah, so I started this in 2014. I was really lucky. I was invited to go to Japan and study with Dr. Masato Emoto. He was the water scientist that did all the water crystal photography. So he would take pictures of frozen water crystals after he would apply different frequencies. So frequency comes from words. You can literally speak words. You can write words on a water bottle, and the water absorbs the frequency of those words. You can hold up pictures. You can play music. And so he was actually considered a quack at the time, but he was amazing, and his work was so profound. And he would show, if you say I love you and thank you to water, play Tchaikovsky or Beethoven, that the water crystal would form this beautiful sacred geometrical image. I mean, it was so powerful. And the more you would magnify the water molecule, you would see more beautiful patterns and designs all forming so symmetrically inside of it. And then water that you see or played like very angry music or something, it wouldn't even be like a molecule, it would be kind of like a blob. And we know that in order for us to use water in our body, it has to be structured and organized. If you think water that comes off of a waterfall or that's running down a stream, you know, bubbling down the stream, it's hitting all the rocks, it's kind of moving, it creates this spin, this charge, this electricity coming over the waterfall. It obviously has the most current and energy. And so this is alive water. And when water, and think about if you go into your office one morning and like some animal got in the night before and your papers are everywhere and stuff's crazy, you wouldn't just like start working. You would have to clean everything up and organize it first. So that's how our body works. We work through function based on organization and structure. And so it was a beautiful opportunity. I loved the work. We did so many things. I was with him for a while and we did so many different studies, and he was an amazing teacher. He actually came back to Florida with me after I was in Japan. We did our first water ceremony in 2014, and we have had a water ceremony the first Saturday of every month since then. So it's well over 100 water ceremonies. And what's really amazing is that in 2000 and I think it was 2000 and, oh, so in 2014, actually, a few months after Dr. Emoto was in Florida with us, he actually passed away. So I was in the last training that he did, and it was such a gift that I was able to go at that time, because that was the last opportunity. So I felt this big commitment to carry on his work. When he finished the training with us, he said, everything in life is give and take. And he said, I know you flew all the way to Japan and you paid money to be here and you took time away from your family. He's like, but what I'm giving you everything, all of my training, all of my knowledge. And he did, he gave us all his studies, all of his documentation. He said, what I'm asking for you to give is that you give the commitment that this doesn't end with you. I don't want to teach you. I want you to become the teacher and teach your family and your community. And so that was really important to me. And so I've done the water ceremony every month since. It's beautiful. We have a beautiful group. I train other people around the world to do it in their locations so we can have synchronized water ceremonies. And it's just changed my life and my community so dramatically. It's beautiful. What's really amazing is that in 2016 at the World Water Conference, the scientific community made an official statement that they no longer consider Dr. Emoto's work to be quackery, and that they agreed with him that water does in fact record, store, and transmit all wave information it receives.
Yeah.
So literally every drop of water, we're made of water. Our bodies on a cellular level are 70% water. On a molecular level, we're actually 99% water. We live on a planet that's 75% water. We're constantly exchanging information through the water, and all water communicates. So we are, every human being, every plant, every animal, every waterway, we are all in a level of communication with each other at all times, because all water communicates. And so the things that we're doing now, the beautiful things that we do to create love and harmony and peace on the planet, those things will be recorded in every droplet of water forever. So our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, in, however many, hundreds of lifetimes later, everything beautiful that we do stays in the water. So it's when we learn about water consciousness and how powerful it is, and it makes such a profound impact on our community and our planet. We're a water planet and we're water beings.
I think it is so profound to think about all of the wisdom and all of the history that is held in a single drop of water. I saw a study about this maybe a few years ago. I wish I could recount it now and to share it with everyone so they could read about it as well. But it was studies, and maybe it was Dr. Emoto that was part of this also, because this was a study a while back where they were able to show the recorded history of the planet in the single drop of water. And if you think about that for a moment, that is really pretty huge. Like, it's almost like this mind-blowing bit of knowledge to think that one single drop of water can carry that much information. And if you think about yourself, your body being as much water as we are, how much information is actually in us that we don't recognize, or that we don't utilize, or that we just dismiss, and that we just take in information from the outside and say, oh, that's the truth, or that's who I am, instead of really going within ourselves and accessing the information that has been with us all along. Seems like a really big missed opportunity for people to go their own way and to live their life on their terms and their way, and how they were destined and designed to be here. And I love that you're doing that, Kristin, that you are with your personal life, your professional life, and your spiritual life, because I feel like the passion project of teaching, whether it's through the skincare and affirmations, or whether it's through sharing information through the Sacred Water Tribe, or it's through trips that you take to the jungle and other things. Like, there's a synchronicity, there's a resonance, there's an alignment there that I think is really inspiring for people when they take a look at themselves and where they're going.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool that you saw that study. I think sometimes when I tell people that everything that's happened since the beginning of time is in every droplet of water, they're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I wish I could. Maybe, you know, if you're able to access that and you share it with me, I will leave it in the show notes so people can read that if you have it handy. No big deal if you don't. So is there something more that you'd like to share about Water Tribe? For those who live in the South Florida area, it's in Tequesta, isn't it?
Well,
Where's that park, or Jupiter?
yeah, so our main water ceremony is in Jupiter, the first
Jupiter,
Saturday
okay.
on the beach. We meet 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and come everybody from wherever you are. You can stay at my house if you need to have a slumber party the night before. We have just a beautiful community of friends that show up for each water ceremony. I like to think of it as a concert for the water. So we play a lot of music and sing a lot of songs, and I teach these indigenous water songs from all over the world, and I kind of teach people, so everybody sings in the ceremony. I kind of teach the songs to you, so it's all of us. You know, I joke with everyone that they're part of the Sacred Water Tribe band now, and we share like a lot of music together, and I bring maracas that I've collected from Peru and Bolivia, and we create this beautiful concert, and we just to take the 2 hours to honor the water that we literally cannot survive without, and to take that time. We are water, so we're really there honoring ourselves as well.
Yeah.
And it's just such a beautiful time, and the kids come, and the kids have learned all the different water songs now, and they sing in ceremony, and it's so funny because my best friend nannies for 4 kids, and they call me the boss of water ceremony. And they were at their homeschool co-op a few weeks ago, and she overheard them saying like, oh, you know, I don't know if we're going to go on that trip because it means we would miss water ceremony. So it's
Wow.
that water ceremony, when I first started offering water ceremonies in 2014, people were a little like creeped out by it. I actually had to ask permission from the elders that I was studying with, because normally in our ceremonies we never record video or take pictures or things like that. It's very secret. And I had to ask permission that we would you know, be able to like open this up a little bit, because people were a little nervous to come, and I wanted people to feel really comfortable and to come at the best level that they can offer in that moment. So there's no dress code, you don't have to be on time, you don't have to stay the whole time, but really like even taking whatever it is that you have to give in that moment to come honor the water is so well received. And I think it's just amazing that kids are growing up and honoring the water is just a part of their normal consciousness. Getting together as a community to spend time once a month is just a part of their consciousness. You know, there's the eye gazing, all the beautiful songs we share. It's amazing because I didn't play any instruments or sing or anything before water ceremony, and I learned how to play a bunch of different instruments and sing, and because we really needed to have music at the ceremony, and I didn't want to rely on having different musicians come every time. And I've watched all of my main friends that come, pretty much all of them play now the guitar and the ukulele and drums, and they sing and they write music. And when we started this, you know, so many years ago, none of us did any of that. And you know, it's just an honor to sit back and to watch how we think we were there for the water, but really the water was there for us, and how much we've blossomed through, you know, receiving that love that we were giving, receiving it back.
Yeah, that's really, really spectacular. It's so beautiful. Just thinking about that exchange, energetic exchange you have with water, and how children are growing up feeling like this is just a normal, natural part of life. It's not this weird thing like people thought it was in 2014. And some people even now might not be totally sure like what's going on. I know like sometimes, you know, when we're there, people walk by and they're kind of like, what is that about? You know, what's going on over there in that corner of the trees? But you know, I've noticed that some of those people that were kind of like sideways looking will come and hang out and be a little bit closer by the end, because there is something magical about the gathering and the energy that's there. Okay, which brings us to kind of the closing question, and this has to do with ritual and you know, being able to access your soul's wisdom. And so, you know, obviously ceremony is one way, but are there any rituals that you have that maybe you haven't mentioned already that really help you tune into your soul's voice and bring yourself into alignment?
I think that the one that I would want to share that's most important is to turn what you're already doing into a ritual. You know, I think sometimes for people when they have this idea of I want to shift my lifestyle or create more ritual in my life, like everything you're doing is a ritual. Just like we talk about at the water ceremony, sometimes it can get a little confusing between spirituality and religion, and I talk about in the water ceremony prayer, and people think, you know, and this is my opinion, so you know, people think that prayer can be like this thing that you do where you're like externally creating this conversation, but I believe that our prayer is all day long. We have this intention, we have this affirmation, we have this belief that we want to create, but what you do when somebody cuts you off in traffic, and what you do when you're stressed out and you're paying bills and you're dealing with your family and your kid isn't listening and you're really late, and when somebody, you know, is kind of like rude to you at the grocery store, this is your prayer. Like how you treat the world, how you treat others, and most importantly, how you treat yourself. And so I think that like as a foundational level of ritual, everything we do really is a ritual because we're very much creatures of habit. So I think for me, the base ritual is when I look in the mirror, what am I doing? Am I just like aimlessly thinking, or am I being intentional to really love and honor myself? When I'm washing my face, when I'm putting on my products, when I'm driving, when I am speaking to another person, am I taking a moment to just really like love that person and send that energy to that person? And do I notice something that I really appreciate about that person? If we're critical about other people, it's just showing us that we're very hypercritical about ourselves. It's not a big deal, but it's just this mirror like, hey, look at what you're seeing out there is what you're seeing in there. And so we can make everything that we do, we don't have to start with everything, start with one or two things, but be intentional about the things that you're doing, because that's your ritual. Those are the things that become our thoughts, they become our beliefs, they become our actions, and they manifest into our reality, and that's who we are.
I love that it's very simple, and you don't really have to change anything other than your perspective around things that you're already doing, and maybe shifting the energetic exchange between you and yourself first and foremost. Forget other people for a second, and the profound shifts that can take place in that simple ritual of engaging with yourself from a more loving space, for example. And it doesn't have to be something super formal or structured. It can be very, very simple. I think that's fantastic.
I had a teacher one time tell me that the simplest thing we can do in our reality is also the hardest thing that we can do, and it's changing our mind. It's so easy to just change your mind. Changing your mind can be really difficult too. And so it's always like, I remember that was so long ago, and I still remember him telling me that, like, you just change your mind. And I think that, you know, if people want to know, like, one ritual that's like really, really important to me, other than making everything intentional as a ritual, I would say love yourself in every moment and on the deepest level. And really, your cells, we have 37 trillion cells, right, respond to your frequency. And so you have this capacity within you to connect. You are you. There's no outside or external force that's more powerful than that. So when you take every moment to really love where you are, love who you are, love who you've been through, and put that love back into it, doesn't mean things have to go perfect. We're all here having an experience, and we choose these experiences to teach us things. And so it's not going to be, I mean, maybe for some people just like a magical fairy rainbow ride all the time, but just every moment that you can practice putting love back into yourself, you are going to be so full with love that you cannot help but just radiate it out all over. And I think that's, for me, that's what beauty is.
I absolutely love what you're saying about, not just about it. Well, what strikes me is that it's beauty from the inside out instead of the outside in, kind of the opposite of what we're taught or we have been programmed to believe in the past. And really just loving yourself, like you said, in simple ways is really, really powerful, really powerful. So if folks want to jump on the affirmation bandwagon, they can find you on social, Instagram in particular, Nourishe, at Nourishe. Mm-hmm. And then if they want to learn more about you and your products and Sacred Water Tribe, where can folks find more information about that?
Yeah, so we have also our Sacred Water Tribe social media, and just a basic blurb about what it is. I officially turned the Sacred Water Tribe into a nonprofit quite a few years ago. I don't remember exactly when. We personally, as Nourishe, we give a portion of all of our proceeds back to Sacred Water Tribe, and any donations that we receive at our water ceremonies or other ceremonies and things like that, we take nothing out of the donations. So 100% of every penny that gets donated goes back to the different tribes that we work with. Our foundation is really about supporting Indigenous culture and Indigenous herbalism. So I work with many tribes all over the world, but I focus mostly on our curandero that we study with in Bolivia, Huayra, and we are working right now to support building a temple on the island of the sun. This is a beautiful island full of all sorts of really powerful old ancient temples, and the indigenous people, they don't drive, there's no cars there. It's amazing. We're working on creating a waste management system. Now they have lots of tourists that come and hike the mountains and hike all the temples, and there's lots of garbage, and they have zero way, they have nothing to compact or do anything with garbage. So we're creating a waste management system for them. We're also working on a water purification system. They have no way to purify their water. The island of the moon has no fresh springs to drink water. They drink water right out of Lake Titicaca. And now there's more tourists coming on boats and things, so it's getting more people looking at water purification systems. And we work with the schools, helping to educate the children on, on different things, but also keeping the education system on the island so the kids don't have to go off island to learn or just have no education. And we also work with different tribes in Peru, where we preserve different plant medicines and things like that are being lost, and we help to preserve the indigenous culture around those, and so many more things. But really the big thing is we want to make sure that we as human beings have access to this indigenous knowledge that is really important that we start reconnecting with and learning, and that we can support the indigenous people in being able to live well and to continue these practices, because these are things that we really want to see more normalized. And they're not all of them, but so many of them are so ready to share. They've been hurt, and a lot of their culture has been taken away from them and has been changed and bastardized and lost, and many of them were killed and injured and abused terribly for being indigenous. And yet they are so beautifully forgiving, and they are ready to share, and they know that the continuation of our planet and the continuation of human life really depends on reconnecting with these indigenous ways. And they're open-heartedly inviting all of us to learn from them, to connect to the earth, to know how to take care of ourselves, and to really create a lot of peace and love and harmony on the planet, with each other, with the plants, with the animals, and things like that. So our mission is really just to support that continuing, and to support people in having access to indigenous teachers and healers, so that they can learn these things, whether it's traveling to other places or having these indigenous healers come to us. And we want this just to be accessible. If it doesn't resonate with somebody, no problem. But if it resonates with you, and this is something that would support your existence, we want it to be accessible to you and your children and your grandchildren. And we don't want these things to be lost.
I hope that we can have a further conversation about more of the indigenous aspects of ceremony in many different ways, not just water ceremonies, and talk about the connection to ancient practices and the modern day world. I think that might be a very interesting conversation to piggyback off of this one. So just a little teaser for anyone who's listening, we may be having further deep dive conversations about this. But Kristin, thank you so much for being here on SoulFull Sessions. I feel like this was definitely a captivating conversation that will nourish, and if you want to, play on words on nourish, everyone's spirit and their souls, and really nurture their experience with beauty and with the earth and with themselves. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, this was soulful, and I loved it. And I hope people want to nourish themselves after this all the time. And thank you so much. It's been really fun. And this is my first podcast of the year. So this starting off the year fantastic. And I'm really excited to have some more and to continue talking about all these great topics and to connecting with the audience.
Awesome. All right. Look forward to the future podcasts. Again, I am Amalia with Karmic Kindness, and I thank you for being here with Kristin Bauer of Nourishe and Sacred Water Tribe. Captivating conversations to nourish and nurture your soul. We'll see you next time.